Friends and family, colleagues, I just cannot believe we are here again on another Sunday. Welcome to the Africa that we deserve. This is a special edition of the Africa that we deserve. This is taking over our lives. The Africa we deserve needs to have ourselves, the diaspora, Black people in the United States and the Caribbean, wherever we are in the world, to be united on one front. And this is an opportunity for us to join together economically and build our social network. This is a 1 hour long show today. Usually our show is 30 minutes, three questions, 30 minutes, and a chance to build economic unity. This conversation we're having today is about solidarity. We're bringing to you today two individuals, Black Americans, who are living, working, thriving in Africa, doing what they thought was impossible at one point in time. Why is this show so important today? It's important for a lot of reasons. This show is important for each and every one of us as time draws near to where we want to fulfill what we're put here for. We want to give honor and pause to Chadwick Boseman. As I reflect on his life, for me personally, he came, he was the light, he lived his light, and it shone brightly. How many of us have that opportunity for the divine to come into us, to live through us, and to fulfill what we were destined to do? So for many of us, we've been talking about going to Africa. We've been talking about doing business in Africa. We've been saying that there's many things that are in the way of us doing that. We're trying to provide for ourselves in the here and now, and then think about legacy, think about the future, think about what that means for us, and build generational wealth and networks and have enough capital to do it all. So on today's show, this is for you. And it's for me because I'm no different than you. It's an opportunity for us to be connected to each other so that we can see, we can be inspired. We can find time to get invested, both if it's economically, but also to make sure that we are invested in our spirits, are aligned to give that moral support, encouragement that is necessary for people who are already there doing the work. And it is to get involved and stay involved. If we're not involved in each other's lives, then we will find ourselves to be alone. And being alone in this world is not the way that we want to go. So today's show, we have two guests, and I don't want to take up any more time. So I want to introduce the man of this half hour, Arnondo Holmes from Hondo Global International. He's on the stage, on the screen with us today. Welcome.
Hello, and good to see you today.
Good seeing you. So we start off with this question. We ask every guest, it's an opportunity for you to really chime in. Africa is and her people are.
Africa is the land of opportunity. This is the new modern day opportunity, and the people are ready to embrace African Americans and work together and develop for a better future.
Fantastic. And you've been doing this development work for a long, long time. So tell us, where did you get started? When did you get started? And what made you make that move?
Well, originally I started in Honduras. It was just a circumstance of someone who worked for me, and I ended up there. I liked and learned a lot of lessons dealing with the people there. However, it did not satisfy what I really wanted to be. Africa seemed too far away, too expensive, and too difficult to get to. And I slowly found a way through connections. Connections are your biggest strength. If you don't have connections, you have a longer, harder road up. Someone was interested in some ideas I had for their country, and they brought me in. Once I got there, the world completely changed. I was like, I have to be here. Your head will spin around if you're an entrepreneur or if you're familiar with business development. You see so many different things. you see an opportunity here and there. And because we've been in America, we've learned consciously or unconsciously how to do a lot of things that they want and need.
So I want to give our listening audience an understanding. You are born and raised in America. You are from Washington, D.C. You're a Washingtonian. Give a little bit about your background.
I was born in the 50s, late 50s, at the height of segregation. Uh, my family is from Virginia. However, Black people weren't born in Virginia near the border. We had to go to D.C. to Freedman's Hospital. So that's why they go, why are you born in D.C. and you raised in Virginia? It's the way it worked,
Okay.
you know. And the, my upbringing was around, basic, average African American people who believed in a system that if you do this and you do that, you're going to get ahead. And slowly over the years, I did my, education. I went through desegregation in school. I went to a predominantly Black, historically Black university. I worked a regular job, learned a trade, and struggled and became an entrepreneur. And you work and you work and you find yourself cut off, limited. There's a ceiling almost everywhere.
Yeah.
And if I had put the effort that I did entrepreneurial here into somewhere like Africa,
Yeah.
it would be I would be done by now. I would be sitting back and I would be mentoring more people, developing more. And the opportunities I see there are part of my problem. I see too many opportunities, and
Too many opportunities.
I have to focus on one or two or three at a time. And I've laid a lot of foundations. A lot of things are ready to go to the next level because when I see something, it's an idea. Then it does research and investigation. Then it becomes a test pilot program, and then it's ready for full implementation. I've got a couple of them that are onto the implementation stage. In Gambia, I do things in Ghana, Kenya. I have interests in several other countries as well, and contacts already established. But going into Africa is your opportunity, and
So I want you to
not
say
easy.
more about what you're doing. So one, you gave this extensive background about who you are, and that's hugely important to our listening audience, right?
Mhm.
As we think about, you know, the Black Americans that are going into, or the Caribbeans that are returning and repatriating and going into Africa, they must have this huge political network. They must have family there, and you are an entrepreneur that is seeing an opportunity. You have work that's going on in several countries. Let's talk about, what are you doing? Let's look at the Gambia because you got some big work going on there. Let's talk about how you did that, what that investment is, what is paying out. Like really dig into that so people can know.
Okay. In
Yeah,
Gambia, we investigated sheep. Sheep it was just a good option. It's highly consumed. Uh, it's easier to raise than cattle. It's affordable. And circumstantially, I just would get sheep for friends for the Tabaski holiday or
okay.
Eid. And because I know there is a huge consumption of it, I was like, okay, you need to target growth for that one major holiday and then year-round supply. Uh, the profit margins on investment, I have a few investors this year as we did our final test run, and it paid out 75% per annum, and the margins
Let's
are
do that
very
again.
good.
No one does that. 70, it paid out 75% per animal. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
per annum per year for
Yeah.
their investment. So if they put in 1,000, they could get up to 750 in return on their $1,000, so they were getting $1,750. Stock market pays 10%. Bitcoin's supposed to pay astronomical, but I haven't figured out how I get my money from it yet.
Okay.
So I do that because I know my numbers. My numbers work because, one, Africa has a very low labor cost, and it's not exploited, the labor that you pay. You pay good wages, but they're nothing like what you would be doing if you were in Australia raising sheep, or if you were in America raising sheep. You cannot raise or make sheep cheese in America affordably. It's impossible. It doesn't work.
And that's where we're getting right now in America, where we're getting our sheep and our goat from, is from Australia.
Exactly.
And if we're able to turn the tables,
exactly.
we could as Black Americans, as the diaspora, we want to come home. We want to invest. Here is a platform, a way to invest. If you can't make it home, here is a way that you could take some of your dollars, even if it's 500 that people put into a pool, and you're making a killing off of this investment, and you're employing your own people in the continent with organic food.
Yeah, and the impact is you create jobs. The gentleman that I had raising my sheep is an uncle of a good close friend. He is now, has a business. It's like, okay, we pay him, compensate him whichever way he wants at a fair rate. We're developing a region because our sheep are bought and sold in Gambia, but they are raised in Senegal. And it is key of what I do. I call VDPs, Village Development Programs. Villages need to become economic hubs. People flock to the urban centers for lack of work, whereas you have prime land, you have a large number of employable people and affordable resources. And you need to make use of it because they were raising grass to send to the city to feed sheep. And I'm like, why not raise sheep there? The finances weren't there to purchase them. So we've empowered one gentleman, a job, who gives work to his sons. So there's 3 people now having work. We bring sheep into the city. We have a person who markets and sells. We're also pursuing a retail location to market the products that come from our sheep as well as other products, because you need to promote a complete utilization of your products. You need to do what the current president in America wants to do, is change the import dynamic. We have rice in Africa. Africans don't eat their local rice as much as they should. They will, that money that is lost in rice sales alone is phenomenal. And they have great rice. They just believe in the imported ones and the business people, market it. Chicken and poultry. We get old chickens from Europe that are layers, and they ship them to Africa cheap, and they compete. And we can raise, chickens in the village, much like we do a system here, which is making most of the people poor. Our poultry workers in America are like sharecroppers, and it's a terrible product. It's not good and healthy chicken. And you can raise an organic natural chicken in a village and have a system where you pick up and drop. And there's just, if you just stop and think about what you can do, apply what you know is done here, clean it up, make it fair, and you develop. And then you have a village situation that makes money for someone, makes a job and money for them, and brings a product in that eliminates imports. When you do all these things, you become, food secure. And that is a situation you never want to be in.
You become food secure, and you become sovereign as a person. You have an option. You have a village that you can now return to that is well functioning, well laid out, a place to be. And I think for our listening audience, it's important for this conversation that we are having Black Americans who live their whole lives here in the United States, like you, who are coming, who are creating jobs, who are doing philanthropy work, who is looking at infrastructure and import, but also you have an option to return someplace and live a
Exactly.
quality of life.
Exactly. Your cost of living in Africa is nothing like America. You can live well. And, I mean, there are just so many pluses to being there. Most people will focus on what they see. They may see a dirt road, but that's not the issue. It's like your perspective of what is important changes.
Yeah.
You need good road structure, and that in itself is an entrepreneurial business. We don't. Why you need to have China come build you a road? A road is not the most complicated thing. We talk about bridges, maybe, but you need their engineers to be put to full use.
Yeah.
You need, to prepare for climate change because, you know, reservoir systems in Africa. Africa has a way of surviving longer droughts up to a point because they have such heavy rainy seasons. When I looked at it, it's like I can farm all year round. All I need is water. And
Yeah.
water comes, it's either too much or it's dry. And if you capture that water before it makes it to the ocean, it's priceless. Once it hits the ocean, it's worthless.
But that again is another opportunity if you can desalt, right? You have all this
Yeah,
ocean. So I think for Black Americans, for me, for myself, as a mom, as a person who's gone to college and I have all the degrees necessary and the master's degree and certificates. Therefore, after when I think about what are my opportunities, as I think about as I was raising my children and still am raising my children and moving towards what's the legacy? What's this dash between the day that I was born and the day that I will not be here anymore? And as I think about Untitled Chapter, he did a lot in that time frame. And I
yeah,
want to bring real opportunities. The International Institute has a campaign of bringing 1 million jobs to Africa by 2030. And in order to do
exactly.
it, we are looking at partnering with and showcasing Black Americans and Africans, continental Africans, who are doing amazing things. And I think that I want our listening audience to understand that this is not something that is beyond them. This is not
Nope.
something. If you think about as a mom, as I think about my aunts, as I think about other people, putting away and squirreling away and getting an investment CD into
Mhm.
an African country and what the payout will be for that. Let's talk a bit about some of your investments in Ghana with your snail farm, some with your financial products.
Yeah, yeah. Well, like I said, there are things in Africa that are high value, low risk investments, like snail farming. I did snail farming. It worked well. It has a good profit margin, and it's even because we have Africans fully abroad, it's a good exportable product as well. You
Yeah.
know, people need to go in. Snails almost make as much money as the sheep industry that I'm working on. That's why those two work hand in hand. I have a location in Ghana that can produce snail, akakono. You'll have to look it up. It's a palm grub, and it's highly nutritious, delicious. If you eat shrimp, you'll eat this.
I haven't
Um,
tried that one yet.
it's good. It's hard to find because it's mostly a village rural product. But
Okay.
people who know it, oh, they see it, they go right for it. And it has excellent nutrition. You have high value grains that make quinoa look, you know,
Yes.
worthless in Africa. You have those things make money. It's like, and what you can do if you're not ready to go, you invest, you develop one income. You're gonna get more money doing a good, well organized, secure with good people, investment. What you're talking about is having a good slice, sauce fun, and then looking for these people because I know there are a large number of entrepreneurial people who just are just underfunded. If you give them the
Yeah.
opportunity, you have some very good people with humanitarian aid and development programs that just don't have the capital. And
Yeah.
we have to do smart development to give us, a one up and prepare for these changes because
Yeah.
African Americans have always been a little late. We weren't there when Facebook started. We weren't there when Microsoft. You don't want it once it's skyrocketed
You
because
don't, because you won't
Chi-
enter.
Chinese they send people. They have the capital and the focus to send people to do the groundwork and have a plan. You have the Lebanese coming in as families and groups setting up things. We are not working collectively
Yeah.
toward getting our piece of our homeland. And we
And
have the
this is
biggest
our
fight.
opportunity. This is our opportunity. Today, this show is really to highlight this collective opportunity. You're doing some work also in Kenya that's coming off the ground. You've done a lot of work in Ivory Coast. And I just want our listening audience to know, I've been following, Arando for some time. I wouldn't have brought him onto the show had I not seen that his methods work. He's a real live guy. You can your hands on him and touch him. He's not running away any place. Um, and he's always in the continent. Either he and I are passing each other, flying in and out of the continent, but he's doing really big work. What is your need and the opportunity you have on the table for folks who are interested in making some money back, but also supporting Africa? They're not ready to go and live. They're not ready to probably take that big trip over there just yet. What do you have on the table?
I have the project in Kenya. It's going to be a co-op farm that will provide a farm industry setting with a person I've groomed for about 6 years from her farming skills. And I learned so much from them bringing back traditional ways that they do. They do a thing called basin gardening that, because everybody wants to replicate the Western way, which is going to fail in time. You can't have mega farms and monocrops. You need a viable organism for a farm. So we're going to do this farm industry that is multi-crop, self-sustaining, provides its own fertilizer, and what it does is provide, for our first employees and workers will be single mothers that need a job, a shelter, and a way to grow up out of poverty. And because when a woman in Africa gets pregnant, they're in a world of trouble. There is no support system for them. They are often shunned, and it can be potentially downhill from there. So that project in itself will perform very well and do a lot of good because I believe in doing good and profiting at it. People go, why do you go to Africa? You go to Africa to make money? I'm going to Africa to make jobs. And if I make jobs, I'm going to make money. And that's how it works. And you have to be socially responsible. You can't max out your profits for the sake of your employees, your environment, and your people and culture. And there's a lot to be gained between the two of us. I mean, my first close African friend was 40 some years ago. And I told him, I said, we're like two halves. We match. We got things that you can use, and you have things that we can use. They have land, resources, and the knowledge of the region. And
Yes,
people who
absolutely.
go, when people go in with the, I'm a little distant from certain groups that are, want a community for the African American sport. I'm a blender. I go in
That's right.
and I walk
Come
with the
together.
community. I spend time with them. I learn a little of the language, just being able to say Jerry Jeff or Matase or Jumbo. you become more approachable and more workable. And I could not do sheep without the local people
You couldn't.
that support me
Not at all.
because you can't go out to the village and make a connection very easily. But a family member can introduce you and bring you in. And that's how it works. They're very social and family oriented. And if you try to, money alone won't do it. You know,
Absolutely. Because the way that my mind looks at it is we are just distant cousins that we just
exactly.
haven't met yet.
Hmm.
And we're coming home for family. And what I love about you is that you brought the spirit here again today. Is you said we're not going to max out profits. We're going to invest in our people. We're investing in ourselves. We're investing in
Exactly.
jobs, and we're doing social good programming that works so that you can have an infrastructure to eradicate poverty. You're supporting your local government by raising people's economics up, finally increasing the GDP. This is the work. If not us joining together, being
Hmm.
in partnership, then someone else will come and take that raw product and turn it in and not care about the people and just make profit.
Exactly. But and there's just so much profit to be made. These large corporations, that pay these dividends, they're giving people pennies of the mega dollars they make. I know the coffee industry. The coffee industry, second largest industry in the world next to oil. It has the most money in it. And yet, when you look at the global poverty map, coffee and chocolate overlay at the
Yeah.
most highest areas of poverty. How can it be that the areas that produce some of the most valuable products end up having some of the poorest people? Because the system that they created post-colonial,
Yeah.
post-slavery
Yeah.
commodity market, I
Yeah.
have a name for it. It's global sharecropping. They make
Wow.
sure they make sure exactly as a sharecropper does. I make enough money to survive and go back to that field and work. And that's the way coffee industry works. It's a global sharecropping situation. Everybody makes money but the farmer. You take a farmer, they get 50, 50 cents to a pound. We're at another down cycle. The exporter makes a dollar. The investor doubles their money when it comes in the country. The roaster makes 5 times the money when they roast it. And that's how it works. And fair trade, they give 5 cents to the farmer, and the seller makes $1.50 more for a fair trade leaf. So you have to dissect all these systems that they set up that may
Yeah.
seem fair and work good, but they're for max
But
profits.
it's not putting us onto a path of wealth,
Nope,
sustainability, and legacy development.
exactly.
Arando, tell me, what do you know?
Well, I know,
What do you
I
know?
know, I know that if we put our efforts toward investing in Africa, we're going to have first we need to obtain food security, and farming in itself is food security, and it will change the whole dynamic of our import structure in that country. I know that if we make a strong Africa, we dictate to everyone because everyone comes back to Africa. Europe was built on Africa. America was built on African slaves. Europe was built on African products. And that's the fact, that is undeniable. And when we have another economic crisis, they're going to come back to Africa to re-up. This is where the strength is. When Africa has power to dictate or takes the initiative to dictate how you treat African Americans, how you treat Africans in Israel, how you treat Africans in China, and that your ability to do business in our country will be predicated on your track record with our people abroad, we can, if we do things like demand reparations from America because we're not going to have you in our country doing business. if you're not doing good by our ancestors and doing right by our, lost souls in the diaspora. We're not going to allow Jamaicans to be, marginalized in Britain. We're not going to have Africans, marginalized in France. We can dictate. We have to take the initiative. We have to do the work to get the kind of leadership that answers to the people and not to the foreigner colonial occupiers.
That's marvelous. That is the truth. The truth is, I'm just going to speak to our women, mothers. We have an opportunity. It may not be this year. It may not be next year. There are organizations that my sister, Tanya Safir, operates, which is the Sankofa Repat organization that is helping people develop businesses and go back home to Africa. Maybe you can't do that right now. This podcast is a special edition bringing forward Black Americans to show maybe you might have $25 a week. Maybe you might have $100. Maybe you might want to get your cousins together and pool together $500. We are going to come back to the show because Cecily is in the studio right now. We're going to offer an opportunity for an investment where you get $1,000 together and you're making $1,750 back up on that. You can't find that any place right about now. It's a process with sheep that Arnondo's doing. Cecily's doing a lot of things. There's coffee that is in Uganda. There's coffee in Honduras. The International Institute is on a mission to bring us together so that we can have social networking, we can develop our innovations, and we can have economic unity. Arnondo, thank you for coming onto the show today. Hang out in the studio if you can. Okay, I would love to bring you back in towards the end of the show. We're going to have a commercial break, and then we're going to bring on Cecily in Ghana. Shout out to all the work you're doing in Gambia.
Thank you.
Welcome to the second half of the show, the Africa that we deserve, taking power over our lives. Today we have my sister, my friend from Ghana, Cecily McClennon on. Hey, how you doing? I'm okay. You doing good?
Yes, ma'am.
Absolutely. Yes. You're looking marvelous. You're in Ghana. Tell me, Africa is and her people are
the future, the past, and for me, it's the present. I invite you.
That's right. That's right. So you're in Ghana right now. You know, I want our friends, family, colleagues, our listening audience to hear about your story as a mom. You brought your kids. Give a little bit about that story, and then we're going to go into the business aspect of what you're doing.
This one, I should write a book, because it didn't just start. It started some long time ago. I met a young brother from Ghana in Chicago through an organization that we both were affiliated with. And we got married. We had 2 sons. And unfortunately, his time with us, we are grateful for it, but it was short because he passed away in 2016. During the course of our 11-year marriage, we had begun to do small business, as they say, here in Ghana. And we began to make a plan for bringing the children over here for their early schooling.
Oh,
So when he passed away, bottom line was we as a family decided to carry forward with all the plans that we made. So, fortunately, hook or crook and just a lot of, hard work and a lot of sacrifices, we were able to just end up still coming here in 2018. And I'm sitting in our home that we built ourselves here in Accra, which is a feat.
that is.
So yes, it's a feat just to purchase land here, let alone to be able to build. So
Yeah.
we are here, and it was one of those situations where you could see that it was never going to be a perfect timing.
Yeah.
At some point, we just had to make the decision to just come.
Yeah.
And our courage and our risk and our work has been so far has been richly rewarded. I have to say, my children are developing uh, beyond anything that I had my plan of what I wanted them to do and the goals I wanted them to achieve, but they are surpassing those goals every day. So I'm more than delighted with the progress that we're making here as a
Wonderful.
family.
As a
Mhm.
family. God bless you. So, just for our women, just speaking to the women in the audience, to all of our sisters, all of our aunts out there, all of our grandmothers who are still young enough and interested in doing things, there's a real opportunity in Africa. And I'll just be personal for a moment. As a single woman myself, as a businesswoman, you think about I travel, go back and forth to Africa, and you think about what's available, and you are just an inspiration as I'm thinking about what my transition will look like, bringing my children over and having them to integrate with their cousins, right? Because we're all just a bunch of cousins,
Oh,
that
yes.
we need to get together again. So you're doing an amazing amount of work, as Africa is the future. Your children are there. You're doing work in the beer industry. You was doing this work in Chicago. So tell people that you are from the United States. You're from
Oh,
Chi.
yes. Oh, yes. The middle, Inglewood, all the way. I went to public school in Inglewood, and I ended up going to University of Illinois for college. But I was born and raised in the middle of Chicago, and honestly, I started making wine through my association with Basu Natural Farms in Pembroke, Illinois, which if people really look that town up, it's one of those old towns formed by uh, runaway captives.
Yeah.
Basically they had escaped, they came to this part of Illinois and they formed a town.
Hmm.
So I was working on a farm. I had this youth program, and I would bring some students from the city to the farm to work. We all loved it. We all learned, and there were a couple of developments from that particular association. One was my wine and beer business. Okay, the foundations of that, and then my daughter who produces a natural skin cream. All of that came from us working on the land with our hands in the soil and developing products from the things that actually grew in the from where we live.
That's
Right outside of Chicago. A lot of people don't know that this, amazing town is even there. And they have a huge ecological center there. And we learned a lot in that town. And we're ongoing with the developments of everything that we did there. So I wanted to just bring what I was doing to Ghana.
that's right. That's right.
Yes.
And that's what we need our folks to understand. So women folk, listen up. You may not be ready to come today. You might want to go have left already yesterday. Probably like myself, I'm like, and when are the airports opening up? So maybe that's not possible. maybe you have a bunch of degrees like I have a bunch of degrees, and you are like, well, what am I going to do with all of these, degrees? I think
Right.
the opportunity that the International Institute is bringing forward here with these conversations with our sister, with our brother previously, Arnondo, who is still in studio waiting for you, Cecily. So after we'll come back on and we'll just have a chat up. And
Oh, I love
talking about how do we think outside of the box? What can we do in order to build, build wealth, make sure that we have an opportunity to sustain ourselves in the present, right? And then think about the future, the legacy we're leaving for our children. Here in the United States, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm not smart enough. I haven't figured out how to manage all of those things at the same time and create an imprint of social impact. When I look at our brother Chadwick Boseman, who has left us and transitioned, I believe for me that he was the light. It came through him. It shone very brightly, and he transitioned back to the ancestors because he was on target, on task, and on purpose. And we
Yes,
have an
ma'am.
opportunity right now to do the same, to be on task, to be on purpose, to figure out what we're supposed to be doing and get it done. And I believe the next place to do that, the right place to do that, is to find the right country in Africa to do that. But Ghana has welcomed us home. We've had the year of return. George Floyd, they were like, the minister of foreign affairs was like, you don't have to stay where you're unwanted. Come
Oh,
home.
yes.
We're
Oh,
hearing
yes.
that in Liberia. We're hearing that in Uganda. We're hearing that in places all over, and you're thriving there. So, what is the opportunity that you're doing right now that you are inviting people to come and learn more about with your work?
Well, for one, I'm very much so invested in the liquor, beer, and wine industry. That's just something that I think is a fundamental necessity if we're talking about building sovereignty. This is an industry that Ghana is absolutely in control of at this moment, but it's being contested. So there needs to be more work, more building in this area. So I don't even look at it as just a business. I look at it as paying it forward, a social responsibility, it's all of those things because it's a fundamental part of the environment here and a fundamental part of a $10 billion industry in West
Say it
Africa.
again, a $10 billion industry
In West Africa alone.
alone.
So, and it's in Ghana is the overwhelming strong person entity in this arrangement, and I'd like to see that pretty much remain the same unless they're going to share some responsibility with some of the other countries. I would not like to see outside foreign multinationals come in and regulate because this is something that, speaking of women's work, this is something that this is women's work here, making, palm wine, serving it, creating these small little chop bars that are not overly regulated by any companies as they are in the United States, and responsibly handling, liquor here has been the domain of small shops. And
Yeah,
all of those would be fundamentally challenged if multinationals were to come in and overtake Ghana in this industry. So
absolutely.
I look at it as a great business opportunity, and just a responsibility for us to shore up an industry that we are already dominating here. So I
Yeah.
think it's a win-win situation, and it's you know I don't know how else to say that. This is
No,
the
it,
best
it,
place.
it is.
This is the
So
best
for
place
those
to
who
do it.
haven't traveled, to Africa, I want to say, and I say this all the time, when I come back to the States, people are like, it seems like your taste buds have changed. I'm more picky about the food that I'm eating. I'm like, where did you get this meat from? I'll pass. They're
Oh
like, you're
yeah,
vegetarian now? No, your meat tastes different. That's to Arondo's point about, the
oh
sheep and
yeah.
the goat and etc. But the beer, focusing on the beer, I've come back and people are like, have a Guinness. And I'm like, no thanks.
Not unless it's the kind they make in Africa.
That's right. Because, and I just want people to understand the quality that is there in the beer that we're having, the production of it. You're putting people to work, Cecily. You're building a community. You're building family. You're able to build a beautiful home there and that you own.
Oh yes, and that's another thing. The opportunity to just create a stable foundation for yourself. Your opportunities here are just so much more accessible, I should say. Because I wasn't a homeowner in the United States,
Yeah.
and as much as I would have liked to have been, I just could never figure that part out. It was never enough money at one time, and it was always some little thing that prevented me from achieving that. Whereas here, it's like you make your mind, you meet people, you start sourcing out, where you want to be at, and you can take it from there. It's too many ways in which you can be the best of yourself here that you don't have to struggle with and beg for. Whereas in the United States, it's kind of like you're always banging up against this brick wall.
Yeah.
So me, business wise, I've been able to meet with one of the ministers, the co-op ministry. I've been able to meet with. I have a standing invitation with a parliament member. I can never say this about the business that I was doing, and I was running around all of Chicago, doing tastings and trying to get people involved in the beers and the wines that I was making, and just come home and see how, some people say, oh, it's a scam. It's not a scam. Come home and see how your people, your family, your distant cousins, as you call them,
Yeah.
will open up their doors to you and work with you and help you to fulfill your vision. So that's all I'm doing.
So there's not a lot of women into the beer, wine making process. And so we're not just talking about making the stuff. You're looking at the whole industry of manufacturing. And as a whole, Africa doesn't have a lot of manufacturing going on. And having a multinational come in, a big boy come in and take over that, it really, it really decimates the opportunities that are available. And so we have an opportunity here, with your organization, your business going on, inviting our listening audience, friends, families, colleagues, especially today. My heart is going out to our women, our sisters. You may not be able to make it this year. You may not be able to make it next year. But if you can get something going on the ground and make a small investment and receive a return on that investment, and then you can use that dividends to help you to build up to afford that first plane ticket for you and your children, then you're able to go to a place, have a network of people that support you. We have Tanya Safir, her organization with Sankofa Repat organization. You're a partner with a business that's viable and working already on the ground. You have some residual income coming in with a small investment that you're doing into women within Arnondo's organization that is working. And you can see that it's working because the fruit is available. The fruit is there. The homes are there. The villages are being built up. People are going to school. People are being put to work. The fruit of the labor is evident.
It's apparent.
It's apparent.
Yeah.
And so, what else do you have going on? You got the beer going on. What else is new that I don't know about that you're doing? Because I'm so excited about this beer and this liquor. I'm like, that's a big thing, sister girl.
Yeah, I can talk about liquor all day, literally. I mean, professional development, of course, but it's just something that I've been traveling, researching, tasting all over the United States. I cannot wait to get a chance to travel even in Europe, just developing and learning more. And of course, here in Africa as well. So I could talk about liquor all day.
And you have the mead.
But
That the mead is that's a specialty.
yes, and that's based on honey. That's based on honey. And
Wow.
that is my fundamental product that I'm very interested in. And one of the large liquor companies here has just made a multi-million-dollar investment in the honey industry here.
Wow.
So I'm piggybacking right off of of that particular development, and it just falls right in line on based on what I was doing in Chicago with honey wine. So that's
I'm so I didn't know that about we're about to bring Arnondo in here. I didn't know that the mead is based off honey. And there's a friend of mine, a brother, a Ghanaian, who is doing really big work. He's building a library, a small community he's been building up, Abuku Adams. He's distributing, bottling and distributing honey. So when you think about the family, right, that we have that we don't know who's doing
right.
what.
Yeah.
We're going to bring Arnondo into this conversation. Our producer is just setting up to bring Arnondo, all three people in at one time on equal screen so we can see everybody equally and have that kind of conversation. But when you think about the work that we're doing, this is a real opportunity to partner. You don't have to go outside of yourselves to find, that kind of support that's necessary.
No, not at all. And quite frankly, people call me with ideas. Like I was telling you about the tomato manufacturing. They don't just call me with ideas. Sometimes they call me with money and
Yeah.
information too. And those are the calls that I love because it's just another opportunity to bring another family who wants to move here. It's another opportunity for the community that we build any facility within. So we're not really the way we're set up, just kind of similar to Arnondo. It's not like we're focused on one particular thing. We kind of got a few things going on. We're looking to get into the coffee and cocoa growing because coffee grows in Ghana. I drink it. It's excellent. And
Yes.
There's just no way that you come in contact with such a product. And as much of a coffee drinker as I am, and most Americans, as soon as I had that opportunity and I talked about it again, the calls that I like started coming in. Is there any way you can send coffee from Ghana, to Chicago? Yes, there is. Thank you so much for calling. So it's just so many different opportunities.
Yes.
You don't have to just focus on one. And the only one other one that I would mention is the intellectual property, which brings us from Baba Arondo's generation. He's been working on his move for 40 years. I've been working on mine for 20. Well, what we've all been doing cuts your time down to 5 to 10 years or less.
Yeah.
Or less.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I give honor to you. I give honor to the people who have gone before me. That's why I have you here today.
Oh, thank you so much. Because I just wanted to let people to really visualize this process. It didn't just start, and there's a lot of things already in place for you. In fact, one of the investment tours that I worked with last year, 2 people have literally met and exceeded all of their investment goals. One is already here, and the other one, he had his plan on a 3-year move. He's like, I'm able to do this in 1 year.
Okay. So this is what we're offering today. We have the both of you here, brother and sister. Welcome together.
Right.
He waited for you.
Yes, indeed. I look forward to getting back over that way into Ghana. I have to share some of my white mango rum recipes.
Oh yes!
Wow!
Yes.
Wow! And Arnondo is making cheese He didn't
Yeah.
talk
Oh
about
yeah.
that, but he's
Yeah,
making.
we're doing the cheese program. There are just so many import items. Even if you're making wine, you can also make vinegar. Mango vinegar
Yes.
is more
Yeah.
expensive than a bottle of wine. And
Oh
people
yeah.
don't realize that. It's like once you start investigating, you just you
It's
come across
amazing.
so many different things. It's like, okay, if I had this, I could bring this to market. If I had
Yeah.
this, I could bring that to market. And most of
Yeah.
these items are good for local consumption and for
Yes.
export value, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's the thing, you know. I always tell people, I said, when you get here, you have to, hold your head straight because you're gonna look and see
Every.
so many things going, well, what do I do first? And that's why I have my page, Afro Agro Industrial Development. It's like a list of everything you can possibly have stumbled on. From if you want a nice laid back business, plant coconut trees.
Oh
That
yes.
coconut trees will last 75 years. You'll pass them down to your son, and your son will pass it down to his son, and you produce coconut water, coconut oil, coconut salt.
Yes.
You can make animal feed with it. It's
Right.
incredible. And people just, when you go, and I go, I can't do it all. So I also, offer to consult people with setting up plans and ideas, and then need it, need some advice. I can give you
Yes.
what I do know and pass it on,
Good.
collaborate with others, and move everyone forward because you don't want anyone to come to Ghana, Gambia, Ivory Coast, Kenya, Uganda, and fail. I mean, every
That's right.
person that gets off at the airport, I want them to make it their home, make it
That's right.
profitable, and make a way for someone else to come behind them. You know?
That's right.
Absolutely.
And today we're offering two things. Partnered up with these fabulous folks, the International Institute is offering two things. One is a business investment tour. We're looking at December 2020. We're looking for 50 people. 50 people that we can handle. You're interested in coming into Gambia? You're interested in coming into Ghana? We're here today. Arnondo and Cecily and I are here today to make that possible. It's a business investment tour. Uh, Go around. We're there with working with Tanya Safir and Sankofa Repat organization. You're looking to buy land. You're looking to invest in business. We have real opportunities for tour to invest in that. Maybe you can't do
Yes.
that. Maybe that's not possible. Friends, families, listening audience, maybe you can't do that. We have an opportunity that we're providing to folks that you're looking to make a small investment and reap huge benefits. Twofold. The benefits is that you're supporting your people in continent, you're building capacity, you're building up folks, you're making huge social impact, and two, you're making a profit.
Oh
You use
yes.
that profit for whatever it is that you need it for. Hopefully, it is for you to come to Africa and see Africa for yourself. But you might need to pay your light bill. You might need to help to buy, the rotors on your car, whatever it is. And I'm talking to people every day, regular folks, our listening audience, right? Because today we're having a conversation with regular folks from Chicago and Washington, D.C., that started out in the segregated South, that had to come someplace else to be born. Sicily is from Chicago. You can't get any realer than that. And these people are thriving in Africa, living and working and being bigger than they could ever think about getting a hold around themselves here in the United States, because here there's one thing over another. There's an investment opportunity. You want to get invested in any of the products that Arando has, from coffee to his sheep farm to his snail farm to the work that he's doing in Kenya. He has work in Ivory Coast, in the Gambia, in Ghana, in Kenya. If you're looking to get involved in the beer market with mead, that particular craft beer, come on into Ghana. We have an opportunity for you that's real. Hit us up at the International Institute. You will get connected to this investment opportunity. Pull together a group of your friends, families, and cousins. Decide not to get your nails done for a little bit. Decide on what your sacrifice will be so that you are able to build a future for you and your family. Because here in the United States, I don't know about you, but as for me, I call people often. I wake up in tears. I go to bed in tears. I have children. And I think
Mm,
about what freedom looks like.
mm.
And we want to be able to live long enough to be free. This is the
Yes.
opportunity.
Definitely, definitely.
Amazing opportunity. Amazing. If somebody had contacted me 10 years ago with what you guys are putting together, I would have ran away from the United States.
Exactly. Yeah, the peace
You
and
know,
tranquility of being there is great as well.
I'm just so proud of I'm proud of all the work that you're doing on this platform, bringing this information to the light and creating the vision and the possibilities for people so they can see them in their minds and experience some of the people that they could possibly work. It's just an amazing, amazing platform, amazing opportunity.
Yes.
I'm excited. If you can't tell, I'm super excited. And I just feel privileged, even though I do feel it's our right to work and live in Africa if we so choose. But it's a privilege to be able to help make it possible, for people, for other people, and I'm proud to be doing that work right now. But you know what else? I'm gonna share some things, because a lot of people say, well, you don't tell us exactly how. So I wrote it down. Okay.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to check out an ebook on the first steps of repatriation for beginners, or just look at our journals a little bit and see, a little bit about our experience and bringing it. It's some is from my children, so we'll, be sharing as usual, sharing our experience through a couple of ebooks that we release. Um, and that's just to cross our T's and, dot our I's and make sure that we are making it plain
Yeah,
for people and going on the record and saying, okay, well, these are a few things that we know you have to do. So,
absolutely.
and
We've
yeah,
had several ambassadors come onto the International Institute of the Africa We Deserve video cast. This video cast is called The Africa We Deserve, Taking Power Over Our Lives. And over the course of our broadcast, we've had several ambassadors. Opportunities are abundant and available. We had the ambassador to the African Union, Fred Ngoa, on. He was in Kenya, but the internet service went out. And there's a real opportunity for Black folks in the diaspora, Black folks in America. If you have a company that you are looking to do online streaming or come into the energy and infrastructure, he opened the door and said, I'll get you into Burundi, in DRC. If you want me to help you come through Kenya, we can make that possible. Today, this show is a special edition running an hour long, bringing Black folks, regular Black folks to the table who are living and thriving in Africa to say they did this already. So what our ambassadors were saying is possible, they have done. Here, showing you them, and that you too, maybe you can't go, maybe you can't repatriate, but you can invest so you can have some residual income into your pocket now and still live in America, but you're building up for a future and you're supporting a continent, you're supporting your distant relatives to thrive. Because if you don't, someone
oh
else
yes,
will, and it
oh
will
yes,
not be to our collective benefit.
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. So here we are. We're at the close of the show. Africa is marvelous. Africa is home. Africa is now. And
Yes.
her people, they are everything. Everything. Thank you for
Yes,
coming
indeed.
on the show today. I adore all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you. You are magnificent.
Mhm.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you. But I talked about Arnondo online, but this is the first time I actually chat with him. And,
Yeah, we have to get together. I come to,
yeah.
I'm in Kosovo usually, but I go
Oh,
all the way
okay.
up, and I go all the way up to Suyani. So,
Okay. That's close to me.
oh yeah,
So
okay.
So
Definitely, we'll
you,
have to cross
the
paths.
last thing that I do want to mention, Arando, we're briefly putting this together, but talk about the opportunity that you have that's coming on board with the air conditioning and heating and cooling systems.
Okay. Well, we're working on putting together a program to train and expand the refrigeration capacity. You know, while I was in
ah,
Ghana, while I was in Ghana, I contacted a phone manufacturer. I have a very affordable 12-inch thick walk-in cooler body that is phenomenally affordable. That
wow.
I'm going to work with them and detail it so that it can be assembled on site. I also worked on a very simple solar. I have a quote on the solar system to power that cooler, and that cooler
Oh,
and it's all these people like said these coolers they're selling them at 28,000. We can do them at 14.
80,000.
We
Yeah.
can do them 14, 30. Yeah, they're like 28 is the cheapest. Some go at 60, 80,000.
Yeah.
I know I can do one because I've got my quotes from my suppliers. It's just I have to implement it because in Suyani, the tomato farmers need refrigeration for
That's
their
right.
products, so they don't, you know. So there's just like I have like a list of like 20, 30 things I could be doing if I could manage them or could fund them. But the walk-ins, I look at them and I'm like, $60,000. It's a small house. I said, how can a farmer afford that? It's like it's an answer to the problem, but it's out of reach because of cost. No matter
Well, we're
how
right.
going to
many.
raise $50,000 here. We're going to raise a fund of $50,000. We will solve that tomato problem. We will. Arando he is so. When you meet him, he is the most humblest person in the world. When you meet him, doing big and amazing things. Okay, he's just doing. It has a great heart. He has a heart of gold, and he is also looking at bringing in air conditioning into your home so that you don't receive the mold. That's growing around the small
Yeah,
central air conditioning into homes and
yeah,
and
the
coming
mini
and
splits are
coming into
difficult.
yeah,
Yeah,
come on and talk about that.
the mini splits are easy and affordable to put in. You don't require a centralized unit. And personally, I'm not an air conditioning person. When you go to Africa, I adapted. I'm like fan and I'm good. I'm gonna be hot at times, but it's gonna work out. But for those that are, need that western central air and these luxury homes, they have these fantastic luxury homes, but they use the mini splits and they tend to oversize them, which causes, to get into the technical end, there's too much humidity left in the house, which it's like the walk-in cooler, and it causes mold issues. And they're having over near the airport estates in Accra, they had terrible problems with these gorgeous homes molding up, and people are getting, what do we got to do to fix this? And it's you need to go to either a more precise system or go to the central air with the ductwork and training people to do these work. What people don't understand is how Henry Ford made his money. His first clients were his employees. They were buying cars. You have to create a middle class to make consumption of products, and it's a wheel. Once you get that wheel going, getting Africa down to 5% unemployment, we will be unstoppable. We need to employ every young person in the country. You have to get past, stigmas about work. A job is a job. We need roads. You could be on a road crew. A road crew worker, it doesn't matter to an intelligent woman. where you get your money, as long as it's legal, is just as good as an IT guy, as a farmer, as anybody. It's like, do you do an honest day's work? Do you bring in money? And
Absolutely.
farming is a very viable profession that needs to be developed. You
Absolutely.
need that. And you need road infrastructure that greatly enhances your country. America did not change until to its full potential until the highway system was developed
That's
in
right.
America. So you get transportation, you change the whole dynamic in the country where things can go from point A to point B without a problem. And if you develop Africa ahead of the archaic ways that some of the West doesn't. That's why China has an advantage. They are not building on old technology. They're doing things in a certain level of systems that are modern. You look at their cities, you look at how things work. They have bullet
Yeah.
trains. We need a bullet train from east to west, north to south, where you
That's
can
right.
Oh,
go,
come.
you
That's
Oh,
know,
and if you are a company, if you are a black owned company, who is looking to build roads. You're a young person who has the technology, but you can't seem to get the contract here in America. You're looking for a way to give back, or you're already established, but you're looking to have greater corporate social impact. We have an opportunity here through Hondo Global, through Cecily, through International Institute as a unit to bring you in to do some great work and also to make that impact possible. So let's not look for the next company to come in from some foreign national into Africa. We're putting on the table today. You're a company, you're looking to come in and do some work and also think about expanding and growth. You have an opportunity. You're looking for as an individual to come in and make an investment, receive a profit so that you can think about one day visiting Africa or bringing your children to Africa to repatriate or even to stay for a bit and come back. We have an opportunity for an investment fund for that. If you're looking for an opportunity just to get connected, stick around, follow the International Institute, get connected, get inspired, get invested socially and emotionally, and get involved. The opportunities are real, and there's no way that we should be here trying to figure out what we should be doing because we are each other's keeper. We are.
yes.
So, with that, I'd like to say thank you to our listening audience for tuning in this Sunday. It's been like super, super, super amazing. I look forward to you guys coming on again another time to really talk about more developments of where we are with our process, with where you are with your work. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we'll see you next Sunday. The Africa that we deserve.
Yeah.